Ben adjusted the strap on his backpack and looked around the edge of the forest. Tall blue trees stretched across the land of Solara 4, their soft leaves swaying in the warm breeze. The air smelled fresh, and a few bird-like creatures chirped in the distance. This planet was quiet and calm, so different from Earth's busy cities. He was part of a peace mission between humans and the native alien species called the Avari. Their village was small and built with curved wooden shapes, blending into the land. Ben liked the Avari. They were peaceful, graceful, and curious. Tall, slender, with soft patterns on their skin and wide, thoughtful eyes. Ben's job was to study the environment and help build trust. But over time, his favorite part of the job became one Ivare Gelari. Alari was different. She was quiet, but always watching and listening. She followed Ben around the forest during his work, asking simple questions about plants, maps, and how humans made their tools. She always walked beside him, not too close, but never far either. Her voice was soft, and her laughter rare. But when it came, it stayed in his mind. One afternoon, the heat grew too strong. Ben wiped sweat from his face and sighed. He had been walking for hours, checking water levels and mapping trees. Suddenly, he heard the sound of running water. Pushing through some bushes, he found a small, clear lake, hidden between rocky hills. Sunlight touched the surface, making it look clean and cool. He smiled. "This is perfect." Larry stepped beside him, curious. "What is this place?" "A lake," he said, pulling off his backpack. "We have these on Earth, too. Great for swimming." She tilted her head. "Swimming?" "Yeah." Ben chuckled. "Going into the water, moving your arms and legs to stay afloat. It cools you off. I'll show you." Larry looked unsure, but nodded. Ben quickly removed his boots and outer layer, keeping his base clothes on. Then he walked into the lake slowly, enjoying the cold water touching his skin. It felt amazing. Once deep enough, he pushed off the bottom and began to swim gently. Alari sat on a rock, watching with wide eyes. "You move like a fish," he laughed. "Something like that. Want to try?" Larry looked at the water, then at Ben. Her fingers tapped her arm, slowly, a habit he had noticed when she was thinking hard. Finally, she stood and stepped closer. "You will guide me," of course, he said, moving to the shallow edge. She stepped in slowly. The water reached her ankles, then her knees. She shivered, not from the cold, but from the strange feeling. Ben held out his hand, and after a pause, she took it. Her skin was smooth and cool. "Lean back a little," he said gently. "I'll hold you." Alari let herself lean back, and Ben kept his hands under her shoulders. She floated clumsily at first, then found a little balance. Her eyes sparkled with surprise. "I am floating. You're doing great." For a few minutes, they moved gently across the water. Ben showed her how to kick her legs and move her arms. Alari laughed once, a short, sharp sound that made Ben grin. It felt peaceful, simple, even fun. When they got out of the lake, Alari sat on the rock again, letting the sun warm her. Her hair like strands clung to her skin, and her chest rose and fell fast. "I liked that," she said quietly. "Good," Ben replied, shaking water from his arms. "It's relaxing." Alari was quiet for the rest of the walk back. Ben didn't think much of it. She was always thoughtful. That night, something changed. Ben was sitting in his small tent, checking data from his handheld device, when he heard soft footsteps. He looked up and saw Alari standing at the opening. "Hey," he said. "Can I help you?" Alari stepped inside slowly. She was holding something small and shiny in her hand. Psst. Without a word, she walked up and placed it on the table. It was a pendant silver round, with a pattern that looked like waves. "This is for you," she said. Ben picked it up. "What is it?" "A sign," she said, "of your choice." Ben frowned. "My choice?" Alari looked at him, her eyes wide. "Yes, after what you did today. You chose me." His heart skipped a beat.
"What do you mean, you invited me to the water? No human has done that before. In our ways, it means something. It means you see me, that you wish to bond." Ben's mouth went dry. "Alari, I didn't know. I just thought you'd like swimming."
Alari blinked. "You didn't mean it?" He stood up, stepping forward. Not like that. I like you, really. But I didn't mean it as a bond or ritual. Alari lowered her head. Then, I made a mistake. She turned and walked out of the tent before he could say more. Ben sat down slowly, the pendant still in his hand. What had started as a simple swim had turned into something far deeper. And now, he wasn't sure how to fix it. The next morning, Ben woke up early. The pendant still lay beside his datapad, its silver surface catching a bit of sunlight that came through the tent flap. He kept looking at it, unsure of what to do. He didn't mean to hurt Alari. He only wanted to share something fun with her. Swimming was normal for humans. How could he have known it meant something else to her people? He stepped outside, hoping to find her and talk. The Avari village was already alive. Gentle music played through. Wind instruments and the scent of warm fruit drifted through the air. A few Yuvari nodded politely at Ben, but he noticed something odd. Some stared longer than usual. Others whispered quietly as he passed. He felt eyes following him. He reached the open field near the forest, where Alari often helped gather herbs. She wasn't there. Instead, her sister Mira was kneeling, picking long green leaves. She looked up and saw Ben. "Good morning," Ben said, trying to sound calm. Mira stood. She was taller than Alari and more direct. "You should speak to the elders." Ben blinked. "Why?" Mira tilted her head slightly. "You gave the sign, and now there must be clarity." "What sign?" She touched the pendant on his neck. Ben looked down. He had worn it without thinking. It was beautiful, and part of him hoped Alari would come talk if she saw he hadn't rejected it. "This?" he asked. "I didn't mean to give any signal. I was just being kind. I didn't know what it meant." Mira looked confused for a moment. "Then you must say that to them, not to me." She turned and walked away. Soon after, a young Avari messenger came to Ben's tent. He spoke politely but firmly. "Elder Sala would like to speak with you now. Please come to the central house." Ben followed him, heart pounding. The central house was a large round structure made of smooth stone and plant materials. Inside, it was cool and quiet. Elder Sala sat in the middle, surrounded by others. Alari wasn't there. Ben of Earth. Sala began, his voice calm and slow. "You have shared sacred water with one of our own. This act, in our ways, is seen as a deep invitation. Did you know this meaning?" Ben took a deep breath. "No, Elder. I didn't know. On Earth, swimming is just something we do for fun. I didn't mean to offer anything more." The room went silent. A few Avari whispered to each other. Sala looked thoughtful. "Do you reject Alari?" "No," Ben said quickly. "I mean, she's important to me. I didn't mean to disrespect her. But I didn't understand your customs. I would never hurt her." "Then your heart is unclear," Sala said softly. Ben stepped back. Unsure what else to say. "You may go. The elder said we will speak with her." That evening, Ben returned to the lake alone. He stood at the edge, looking at the place where they had swum together. The water was still, and the memory of her laugh echoed in his mind. He sat on the same rock where she had rested and sighed. "I didn't know," he whispered. "Maybe I should have asked." Behind him, footsteps crunched softly. He turned. Alari stood there, arms folded, her eyes not meeting his. "You wore the pendant," she said quietly. "I did," Ben answered, "because I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't understand, but now I'm trying." Alari sat beside him, her voice low. "Our people believe water shows the soul. When we share it, it means we are ready to open our hearts. You let me in the water, you helped me float. To us, that is not small. I see that now," Ben said. "But I didn't mean it like that." Alari nodded. "I know." They sat in silence. "I was happy," she whispered, "in the water. I thought maybe you felt something too." Ben looked down. "I did. Just not at first. I thought we were becoming friends, but now I can't stop thinking about you." Alari turned to him. "So what do we do now?" Ben shrugged. "We talk. We learn. Maybe. We swim again, but this time with understanding." Alari smiled just a little. The next day, things in the village started to shift. Ben and Alari worked together again, this time with more care. They laughed, they walked, and slowly, the awkward silence between them began to fade. The pendant stayed around Ben's neck not because of misunderstanding, but because of choice. Over the next few days, Ben noticed a change not only in Alari, but in the whole village. Yavari people treated him with more respect now. He didn't fully understand why, but they started inviting him to meals, asking about Earth, and showing him their traditions. Before, they were kind but distant. Now, they treated him as one of their own. Alari walked beside him every day. She didn't say much at first, but her silence no longer felt cold. It was calm, peaceful. Ben learned that the Avari didn't speak to fill the air. They spoke when they had something real to say. One afternoon, Alari brought Ben to a quiet garden near the edge of the village. Tall glowing flowers moved slowly, as if breathing. A small stream ran through the center. She sat near the water and touched a smooth stone with carved lines. "This is where our people share truth," she said. Ben sat next to her. "Truth. When we want to open our hearts," she explained, "we come here. We tell what is inside." Nodded slowly, "And you brought me here." Alari looked at him. Yes. The stream bubbled softly as Ben thought about his words. "I didn't know how much that moment in the lake meant to you," he said. "But now, I'm starting to understand. I want to know more. Not because I feel forced, because I've..." Larry's fingers brushed the water. "Do you care enough to learn my way?" "Yes," Ben answered without pause. "Teach me." For the next hour, Alari explained how Avari show feelings, not with big words or grand actions, but with small, shared moments. Planting a flower together, walking under the stars, touching the same object at the same time. Their culture believed deep connection didn't need noise. It needed presence. Later that night, Ben sat in his tent and recorded a short message. "Back to the human station. Mission update. Peaceful progress continuing. Cultural understanding improving. Personal notive made a connection here. Unexpected, but real." The following day, Elder Sala called Ben again. This time, Alari was there too. Walla's face was calm. "We have spoken with Alari. He said and she wishes to continue learning with you. But only if your intent is clear." Ben looked at Alari, then back at the elder. "I want to continue too, and I promise to learn and respect your ways." The elder nodded. "Then we will guide you both. But understand, our path is slow. Our steps are small, but each step matters." After the meeting, Alari walked with Ben through the fields. The wind was light and the tall grass waved around. Their legs. "Will you swim with me again?" she asked softly. "Yes," Ben said, smiling. "But this time I'll know what it means." Alari touched his arm, a light gesture, but powerful. They both knew something had changed. The second swim was not like the first. It was quieter, deeper. They didn't speak much. They floated side by side, letting the water hold them. The sunset turned the lake golden. Ben noticed the way Alari closed her eyes and relaxed completely. She trusted him now, and he was beginning to trust himself. That night, Ben sat under the stars with her. They shared dried fruit passed from her hands to his. It was another quiet ritual. "Do your people fear us?" Alari asked. "Not anymore," Ben replied. "We used to fear what we didn't understand. Now I think we fear missing the chance to connect." Alari nodded. "You swim, we walk, you speak, we listen. We are different, but not apart." Ben smiled. Not apart. The days that followed were filled with shared work. Ben helped build a new garden system with Avari tools. Alari learned how to scan soil with human devices. They taught each other. They laughed more. Even Elder Sala smiled when he passed them. Then one day, a message arrived from the human base. "Return requested. Report needed in person." Transport arriving in 2 days, Ben's heart sank. He didn't want to leave, not now. Read the message beside him. She didn't speak at first, but her fingers touched the edge of his sleeve. "Gently, you must go. Just for a short time, Ben promised. I'll return. She looked down. Many say that. Few mean it. Ben held her hand. I mean it. But Alari still looked unsure. The next evening, she returned to the same lake. Ben followed her, knowing this wasn't just a normal walk. She stood at the water's edge, holding something wrapped in soft cloth. What is that? He asked. A gift, she said. Only if you come back. She placed it in his hand. What? Ben opened it slowly. Inside was a smooth stone carved with the same wave symbol from the pendant, but this one glowed faintly in the dark. This marks a shared soul, she said. A promise made between two who swim together with understanding. Ben swallowed hard. I'll bring it with me. I'll come back. Alari looked at him, her voice just above a whisper. Then I'll wait. The small human ship landed near the edge of the forest, its engines humming softly as the ramp opened. Ben stood beside Elder Sala and Alari, his bag already packed. The carved stone Alari gave him was safe inside his jacket pocket, close to his heart. We will await your return, Elder Sala said with a calm voice. Alar, I didn't speak. She stood silently, her hands together, fingers curled slightly in front of her chest, a quiet gesture of waiting and hope. Ben gave her a small nod, then walked toward the ship. He didn't look back right away, afraid that if he did, he might not be able to leave. The flight back to the human outpost took only 2 hours. The place felt colder, busier, and louder than the Avari village. People moved fast. Machines buzzed everywhere. It was strange how quickly Ben had grown used to the calm of Solari-4. Commander Ellis greeted him in the meeting room. Glad you made it back, Ben. We need your full report. Ben sat down and began to speak. He told them about the land, the lakes, the farming habits of the Avari. He explained their customs, their silence, and their gentle way of life. Then, carefully, he spoke about Alari, not as part of an official report, but as a personal note. We made a mistake once, he said. Centuries ago, we rushed into places with weapons and power. This time we need to do better. We're offering something rare: peace and trust. I think we should listen. Commander Ellis looked at him, and the relationship with the local. Her name is Alari, Ben said quietly. She's more than a girl. She's strong, smart, and I care about her. Do you plan to return? Yes. The commander leaned back. You'll have to wait. New protocols are coming. Council. Review, trade talk, cultural rules. It could take weeks. Ben's chest tightened. But I promised her. The commander said, but stay here for now. Ben spent the next few days trying to keep busy. He helped with research, cleaned his old station room, and updated data files. But his mind was always on the lake, the garden, and the quiet moments with Alari. He missed the soft wind, the glowing flowers, and the sound of her voice. He sent a message to Solari-4. It was short. I am delayed but not gone. The stone is with me. I remember everything. Wait for me. He waited for a reply. None came. After a week, Ben grew restless. He asked for permission to return early, but the council kept delaying. New questions came up. Rules were unclear. Meetings were long and filled with talk that meant little to him. One night, while walking near the edge of the outpost, Ben heard someone calling his name. Ben, we just got a signal. From Solera Fort, he rushed to the Comes room. The message was short, in Avari symbols and translated text. The water is cold without you. The stone still glows. I still wait. Ben smiled. He didn't realize he was crying until a technician handed him a tissue. 3 more days passed before permission was finally granted. You're cleared for return, Commander Ellis said. This time, try not to start any accidental rituals. Ben laughed. No promises. The ship landed at the same quiet clearing. Ben stepped out, heart racing. The village hadn't changed. The trees still danced in the wind. Music floated gently from somewhere in the distance. Then he saw her. Alarai stood under the same tree where they first met. Her face was calm, but her eyes brightened when she saw him. Ben walked up slowly. I'm back, see, she said. They didn't rush into words. They simply walked together, side by side, through the village. Alari brought him to the garden again, where the stream still ran gently. "I read your message," she said, "and I read yours." Alari touched the small stone around her neck. Ben took his out and placed it in her palm. Both stones glowed softly like matching pieces. "I thought maybe you would forget," Alari whispered. "Not possible." They sat near the water again, and Alari began to speak. "While you were gone, the elders asked me many questions. They want to know if I trust you, if this connection we have is real." "And what did you say?" Alari turned to him, said, "I would know when you looked at me again, and now I know." Both smiled. As night fell, small lights lit up across the village, floating orbs made of natural glowing plants. The elders gathered, and Ben was asked to stand before. Elder Sala looked at him with quiet eyes. "You left and returned. Your bond remains. Do you still wish to walk beside one of ours?" "Yes," Ben said simply. "Then you may." Alari stepped forward, placing her hand gently over Ben's heart, right where the stone rested inside his pocket. "We begin again," she said softly. Ben touched her hand, this time with meaning. Morning on Scifi came slowly, with soft light falling through the tall blue trees. Ben woke to the quiet sounds of the village and the soft hum of life around him. It was his first full day back, and already things felt different. Not just because he had returned, but because now he belonged. Alari waited for him near the water path. She wore a simple cloth over her shoulders, patterned with flowing shapes. When she saw Ben, her face lit up in a way he hadn't seen before. She looked peaceful, almost glowing with calm joy. They walked together to the small fields where the avari grew silverleaf and redstem plants. Ben rolled up his sleeves and joined Alari in pulling weeds and checking roots. A few avari elders watched them, speaking quietly but with smiles. To them, this was not work, it was harmony. Working side by side meant more than just sharing tasks. It meant sharing life. On Earth, Ben said while wiping sweat from his forehead, "We rush. We always hurry." Alari glanced at him. "Here we don't measure time, we measure feeling." Ben paused. "Then this day feels full." Alari smiled. "Yes, full." Later that afternoon, Elder Sala sent word to Ben. He was to join the council for a special event that evening. Ben felt nervous, but curious. He asked Alari about it, but she only said, "You'll see." As the sun began to lower, the village gathered in a wide circle near the lake. Glowing stones lined the ground, and music made from windpipes and string shells filled the air. It wasn't loud, but it carried far. The mood was calm, yet something important hung in the air. Ben stood beside Alari, waiting. Elder Sala raised one hand, and the music softened. "Tonight," Sala spoke, "we mark a new joining. A new path walked by two souls, one of the stars, one of the waters." The crowd was silent. All eyes were on Ben and Alari, Ben of Earth. Sala said, "You shared the sacred water. Then you left. But you returned. Not just with words, but with heart. And so we ask, do you still carry the light she gave you?" Ben reached into his jacket and took out the carved stone. He held it in his palm. "Yes, I carry it. I never let it go." Alari stepped forward and placed her stone beside his. Two stones touched and glowed brighter. The crowd gave a low hum of approval. Some closed their eyes, others placed hands over their hearts. Elder Sala smiled. "Then let this be a bond of learning, not ownership. Of steps taken together, not control. The way of the Avari, and now, perhaps the way of two worlds." After the short speech, everyone sat together around glowing bowls of soft food and shared drinks from leaf-wrapped cups. Ben sat beside Alari, still holding the two stones. They had been tied together with a thin silver thread. "What happens now?" Ben asked. "Ayla," I tilted her head. "Now, we just live." For the first time in a long while, Ben felt no pressure to explain anything. No mission updates, no goals, just presence. The days that followed were peaceful. Ben helped the Avari build stronger bridges near the river. In return, They taught him how to move silently through the forest and how to understand the language of tree sounds. He learned that silence didn't mean emptiness. It meant deep listening. I brought him to the learning tree, an ancient plant with glowing roots where young Ivari sat to hear stories. She shared a story about the first pair to ever swim together, how their bond helped stop a great flood long ago. Ben understood the meaning behind it. One evening, as they walked back to the village, Ilari stopped by the lake. "I have a question," she said. Ben looked at her. "Anything? If he had never invited me into the water that first time, would we still be here?" He thought for a moment. "It's maybe not like this, but I think we still would have found each other." Laurie looked into the lake, the light of the sky reflecting in her calm eyes. "Then, I am glad for the water." Ben reached for her hand. "Me too." That night, the wind picked up, and small clouds covered the stars. Ben and Ilari sat in his tent, sharing dried fruit and warm tea. Asked her more about the customs of her people. She asked him about Earth, what snow looked like, what human music sounded like, what dreams people there chased. "Do humans dream loudly?" she asked. "Sometimes too loudly," Ben replied with a smile. Ilari nodded. "Here, we dream quietly." Before sleeping, Ben touched the tide stones again. They now hung by the tent's opening, together, always glowing. The morning air was heavy with mist. The lake near the village looked like a silver mirror, and the sky above it was still. Ben stood near the water, watching ripples form as tiny creatures danced across the surface. Behind him, Ilari approached. Holding 2 small cups of steamberry tea. "You always come here at sunrise?" she said, handing him a cup. "It reminds me of the first day." Ben replied softly. Ilari nodded. "The day you invited me to swim," they both smiled. Their days had become a rhythm, slow and peaceful. Ben worked with the Ivari builders to repair the old pathways through the forest. He used both human tools and the natural materials the Ivari preferred. They learned from each other, and the bond between their people grew stronger with each shared task. But things were about to change again. One afternoon, while Ben and Ilari were planting new trees near the learning tree, a human shuttle flew overhead. The sound was sharp and unfamiliar to the Ivari. Children stopped their games. Elders looked toward the sky. A message came through Ben's small communicator. "Emergency council call. Report to base within 24 hours." Ben looked at Ilari. She had already guessed what it meant. "They want you to leave again," she said, her voice steady. "Maybe just for a meeting," Ben said quickly. "But I don't know yet." Ilari didn't speak. Instead, she placed her hand on the soil where they had just planted a sapling. "This tree will stay," she whispered. "Will you?" "I want to," Ben said. That night, he sat alone in his tent, looking at the 2 stones still hanging near the entrance. Their glow had faded a little, not gone but dim. He packed lightly the next morning. Laurie walked with him to the clearing where the small shuttle waited. Her fingers brushed against his arm, holding on for just a moment longer than usual. "I'll be back," Ben said. Ilari gave him a soft smile. "I'll listen for your footsteps." The trip to the human outpost was quiet. Ben sat in silence, thinking of every moment he had shared with Ilari. He thought about the garden, the lake, the way she spoke without words. Most of all, he thought about how simple things had become meaningful. At the base, the atmosphere was tense. Other officers greeted him with quick nods but no smiles. He was taken to a large room filled with human council members on screen. A voice came from the lead screen. "Ben, we received new reports about Solari 4. The Ivari culture is more sensitive than we expected. Some worry your relationship may create confusion in future diplomatic talks." Ben frowned. "I didn't start a war, just built trust. Real trust." "We're not blaming you," another council member said, "but we need to make sure Earth's image stays neutral. There's talk of assigning someone else in your place." Ben stood up. "Can't replace trust. They know me. I know them. We've built something real." "Are you emotionally involved?" Ben didn't answer at first. Then he said, "Yes, but not in a way that hurts the mission. In a way that proves it's working." The council spoke, in low voices, their screens blinking as they discussed. Finally, the lead speaker said, "You may return, but your actions will be reviewed closely." Ben nodded. "That's all I ask." Back on Solarifor, Ben stepped off the shuttle and looked around. It was evening. The wind had picked up. The village looked the same, but quieter. He hurried through the trees, hoping to find her. Elara wasn't at the lake. Not at the garden. Not near the fields. He ran to the learning tree. And there she was, sitting on a low stone, her hands resting on her knees, her eyes looking up at the stars. "I'm here," Ben said, walking closer. "Alar," I turned slowly. "I heard your footsteps." He sat beside her. "They tried to take me away. Why didn't they? Because I told them the truth." Laurie looked at him. "And what is your truth?" Ben took her hand gently. "My truth is you. Not because of a mission, not because of rules, but because you showed me something better." Alari didn't speak right away. Then she reached into her small pouch and pulled out the 2 tide stones. They still glowed, just a little. "I kept them warm," she said. Ben smiled. "I'll keep them with me now." They sat beneath the stars. 2 souls from different worlds, joined not by orders or politics, but by quiet understanding and the slow, steady path of trust.